Party people in the house. Simon, New Earth Cooking in the garden. I've learned over the few years gardening and working with nature is that I gotta ask 3 questions, right? 3 questions to come to a garden that's successful. Successful in a sense of everyone's happy. The bees, the flowers, and Simon with a full belly. And the questions are, drum roll, what do you want? That's the first question I ask the garden, I ask the land, I ask in my relationships, or at least I try. I ask the grasshopper, I ask these delicious berries, I go, what do you want? How do you want to grow? Then I ask myself, what do I want? And then number 3, the most important question, how can I get what I want without sacrificing what you want and what I want? How can we work together in a relationship? And I know this sounds a bit vague, but look at this garden here. To some of you this might look like a mess, but to me it's absolute paradise. Grasshoppers jumping around, bees, food. There's a pumpkin here crawling all over a perennial eggplant. There are flowers, and there's plenty of food to be had, you know, once you dig in deeper. And it's full. So we don't see any weeds. At worst, we see a couple of plants that we say, less than optimal. You're kind of taking over a little bit. And then we come in with a pair of scissors and we kind of snip those away, but only in the beginning. Eventually, this garden is taking off, multiple layers, multiple things happening. And all I do is I design it in a way that it serves me as a chef. So I have food, I have beautiful lavender here for tea. You see what I mean? And I think that's happened in all of our excitement in the last industrial revolution. We forgot to ask our planet and all of its inhabitants that don't have that beautiful voice to speak in a language that we can understand directly. We forgot to ask, what do you want? What do you want to be? How do you want to live? How do you want to express yourself? And is there a way that all of us can be a part of this? And that's why we find ourselves in a situation now that we're bickering over climate change and we're bickering over our own survival. It's because we forget to ask these questions to our children. What do you want in this world? And how can I support you without you killing yourself? Tricky questions. What do you want, lady bird? What do you want, bee? What do you want, mother? Very important question. And look, when we continue to ask this question, we get more answers and we become wiser. So I'm not here showing you a video that this is a perfect garden at all. But I will show you that this is a productive garden. And we're getting some of the answers as we keep listening to nature. And in response, she's being more productive than ever. And after all, it turned out she was so much more intelligent than I thought she was. I mean, she is, don't always like to admit it, she's way more intelligent than I am. That's a good realization, isn't it? So when big agrochemical companies tell us that we need to spray weeds with toxic chemicals in order to feed the planet, I say to them, yeah, to a point you're right, but absolutely you're very much not right. You're very wrong because you're not listening to nature. Weeds aren't just some obnoxious herbs that come around trying to make our lives miserable. They're actually plants, agents of Mother Nature, and they are here to repair our soil. You see, it's a very different way of looking at these plants, and we can take some of these plants, like this is a little mung bean, a nitrogen fixer, and we can deliberately start to drop them onto our soil and say, well, I'm going to choose to have this plant growing here, because if I don't plant this one, another cover crop will come around. Because one thing I do know and do understand now about Mother Nature is she doesn't like this. She doesn't like the bare soil. This is very vulnerable to her, and given half a chance, Mother Nature will start covering this in plants, which is a good thing. And sometimes those plants are very beneficial to us as well. There you go, one edible plant. Another edible here, it's family of black pepper, delicious little leaf. Gotu-kola, which is a medicinal, beneficial herb to our brain. So oftentimes, they're not weeds after all. So even if you don't have a garden, or you don't even want to have a garden, ask yourself perhaps the question today, where am I not listening to my girlfriend? or to the bus driver or to these obnoxious people that seem to make my life so difficult. What do they want? What do I want? And how can we find a way to make it all happen together on this planet? It's our only chance. We're that last generation and the first generation having to ask this question so seriously that if we don't find the answer very, very soon, the suffering will get to a point where it's unbearable. And Mother Nature shows us over and over again on this planet what happens to a species that just doesn't fit in. And it will just be a blink, in a blink of an eye. And in the long run, it won't matter if the human race is going to be here or not. But I do believe that there's something inside of us that really wants to be part of this, really wants to have a chance of living here. And the answers are all within you. So don't listen to me, but ask the questions and see what happens. Love you, love.